Welcome to this new Gran Turismo 7 video. Today, we'll discuss settings and artificial intelligence. Why? Because a few weeks ago when I started making videos about the game regularly, especially videos where we were testing engine swaps, I saw many comments on my videos saying I needed to learn how to tune my cars. Because it was obvious in the videos that my cars weren't particularly easy to handle, and that it was probably because my cars were either not tuned at all or tuned badly. I know that in racing games, car tuning is super important, except in Gran Turismo. I've always thought car tuning menus were too abstract and didn't provide enough information about what we were changing. So, on one hand, I know I need to learn how to tune in the game, but on the other hand, the menus really don't make me want to do it at all. So I thought it would be really handy to know how to tune cars in the game without spending months experimenting with things in the settings. I remembered it's 2025. We have amazing AIs, especially chat-generative pre-trained transformer that sometimes let us understand things very quickly that would have taken us months to figure out on our own. Today, we'll test something in this video. We're going to see if ChatGPT or other AIs are capable of being precise enough, strong enough, and smart enough. Quote-unquote suggest precise Gran Turismo 7 settings to help us make faster cars. And that without spending weeks testing things in the game's physics engine. So, what we're going to do is start by selecting a car that isn't tuned but is heavily upgraded. This way, all settings are unlocked and will be adjusted, as you guessed, by ChatGPT. So, we're going to buy the premium edition of the Nissan GT-R. I don't have this car in my garage, so I've never driven, upgraded, or tuned it. On top of that, it's an all-wheel drive car that will give us access to settings we don't necessarily have on front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive cars. So, as you can see, we're going to start by fully upgrading it. We're going to install everything to unlock all the settings. So, what we're going to do before trying anything with the settings is take this car for a quick lap on the track. We'll record a lap time, and then we'll compare that time to the ones we get after tuning the car with artificial intelligence. So, we're going to pick a track that I already know well. That way there won't be too many surprises. And most importantly, we're going to pick a track that's not too long. We'll go with Suzuka, and we'll set it to time trial mode. That lets us record our lap time. Let's get started. We're going to try to do our best. We'll try to set a decent lap time. What's pretty cool is that this stock car is actually quite balanced. It's a really good car that doesn't actually have any major flaws. And it's a beast, since we still have over 1,000 horsepower. Our car can reach 400 kilometers per hour on the longest straights. And I think Suzuka is also a good track to test this kind of thing, because it has a bit of everything. There are wider and tighter corners, and there are corners where you'll be leaning into the turn. Some straights still let you exceed 300 kilometers per hour. So normally, we have pretty much all the aspects of driving covered. We're going to finish a lap in about 2 minutes. Around there, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. 2 minutes, 670. Okay, so let's keep that in mind and start to see what we can do in terms of setup. So what we're going to start with is a quick screenshot of the setup tab for this car to show the artificial intelligence exactly the default settings we have on this car. We'll send this screenshot to the artificial intelligence and note that we've upgraded the car, including its specs and power ratio. We'll really mention the most important data. So now what I'm going to do is send it this little screenshot I took. And I'm simply going to ask it first if it knows this car. So, it's Gran Turismo 7. With a fully upgraded 2024 Nissan GT-R Premium, 1,072 horsepower, 1,200 kilograms. And of course, we've installed the racing soft tires and reinforced the chassis. So, now we're going to ask her if she can make an adjustment to improve this car overall. Well, it's already off to a good start. She seems to have understood pretty well. And by the way, what's cool is that she considers it a good car for technical tracks like Suzuka. So, that's nice. And now we have a series of values that correspond to different elements of the car: suspension, differential, aero, gearbox, braking, nitro, steering, and others. We're going to modify these in the game so that it simply matches what she's advising me to do. It's cool that we can get so many details, like if I don't get why she's asking me to change the suspension frequency or compression, I can ask and get some additional explanations about the role of each setting, why we're doing this, and what we're supposed to get out of it. After a few minutes, you notice the artificial intelligence's knowledge is still limited. There are suggested values I just can't enter. For example, the initial pair at 5 and 5, here, I assume it's 50-50, but I can't change it. I can adjust the acceleration to 15 or 20 as suggested. For braking, it suggests 10 and 15, which isn't possible here, same as before. It suggests shifting to 7th gear, but this GTR only has a 6-speed gearbox, so setting a 7th gear isn't possible. So, well, that's it. I've applied it. We're using all the artificial intelligence's recommended parameters, and we'll test it now. I'm excited to see the results. This already lets me say something overall about what I can do. To do or not do with the artificial intelligence, it's that, well, very clearly it gives me values. We'll see if, well, it already gives a result or not. But above all, there are very few explanations, so if I don't ask for them, I won't get them. That's about it. The issue with AIs is they let you do many things. If we don't question our methods, we risk acting blindly and without thought. But here, on the other hand, it's true that the way the car is driven is already quite different. Overall, the main difference remains in the corners. It's true that the car was understeering slightly earlier, very slightly. As I said, it's a car that's already, by default, very efficient. It's really made for the track. And now, it's true that the understeer is really reduced and we have a car that pushes much harder. Again, too good in the corners. So we have a gearbox that's a bit short, but I'd say it's still pretty well suited to a track like Suzuka. So yeah, it's still quite different. And actually, at first glance, these settings do seem to make a bit of a difference on the lap time. So, we'll see how it turns out in the end. Anyway, I don't know what the final lap time will be. It's clear that we're on track to do better. Definitely. Much more than with the car without any settings. But the driving sensations are truly different. The settings truly impact driving, and the effect is very positive. The car is really much easier to handle, has a lot more acceleration, and in corners, it really has better grip. We improved by 2 seconds, not just 1. We did 3 seconds better. We did 2 seconds better, all while actually commenting on the gameplay as well. On the first, let's say, part of the track. I think we would have done better if we were really 100% focused. A 2-second gap is already significant on a track like Suzuka. So, at first glance, it works. But now, what we're going to do is, since we're on a specific track, we're going to ask if it can simply optimize its settings for a track like Suzuka. So now, it's suggesting some settings that are a little different, and above all, it's explaining a bit why. For example, it says it's good to have a stiffer suspension to reduce body roll. In the S curves, the famous S turns right at the beginning of the track, speed stability. There are a lot of things that seem to have changed, and that really seem to be well adapted to the track. So, we're going to put them in, and then we'll test it again. It's true that, at first glance, it works much better for a general setup. I made these small adjustments. It changes the PP negatively, but anyway, PP isn't always super representative of the vehicle's actual performance. There were other things I couldn't or didn't change since it began giving me inconsistent values. But we'll test it again. We'll see if by specializing the setup for Suzuka, we get a positive effect. Alright, well, here we go again with the GTR on Suzuka, using the settings recommended specifically for Suzuka. So here, I think these are going to be settings that are really less noticeable. Things that are a bit more, well, less obvious actually, quite simply. Well, although I don't know, the car still handles even better, I think. But I think these settings will be less obvious than before and after the adjustments. The first phase of adjustment. And indeed, at first glance, we might be a little bit faster still. So, I still need to say it. I haven't commented much here. I tried to focus more on driving, but I think our lap times will still differ a bit. And that, even though I clearly started the lap being slower, but actually, it's a 1.6 second difference, not 2 seconds. Like I said, I didn't start well. So, the results so far. The adjustments made us gain almost 4 seconds on a track like Suzuka, which is pretty incredible. Well, after that, it still has to be said. After 3 tries, I'm more familiar with the car and track, and I commented more on some laps. So that helps a bit, but 4 seconds is still a lot. So, at first glance, it worked pretty well on a track like this. We're now resetting our Nissan GTR to default settings, and we'll do a maximum velocity tuning test to check if ChatGPT can optimize a car's maximum velocity. So I think I've basically reset my sheet to default now. So, we're going to start the special road stage, and we'll see what top speed we can reach with the GTR. Before tuning, let's see a bit if it's able to optimize the car's performance for me. So, we're going to try not to rely too much on drafting or nitro. We're really going to do a test that's as basic as possible. And so we reach a little top speed, which is pretty nice. Now, let's try to move away here so we don't get any push effects or drafting effects. And we hit 396. All right, now let's see if we can do better, just thanks to the suggested settings. Well, this is starting off pretty badly because right from the first setting, I can't set 65. It tells me 65 to 70 are settings that are impossible. We'll set it to the minimum and adjust it slightly to keep the 5-point gap. But it's true that there are probably some things you can't set. Some of these settings make sense, but there are also things that don't make sense. So it's true that reducing the downforce will obviously increase the speed. Reducing. Let's say trying to lower the car. Also setting the toe angle to 0. There are also things that seem consistent. Afterwards, is it just luck? Or is it really because it's this car? With this setup, it's hard to say. I admit, seeing the suggested gearbox setting makes me a bit worried. So I think it's talking nonsense, but we'll see then. I don't think it's making me do anything since it doesn't know the game's physics. It says my maximum should be 774 kilometers because that's what's written. All right, we'll test it, but let's be clear. I think the car is going to be a total dud because I think we're going to see a really long gearbox. So yes, we'll have more top speed, but will it be more than if we just made an adjustment? Same car, just the gearbox. Not sure. We'll test it, but we'll definitely have more. The gearbox is poorly designed. Second gear is too long, third is short, and fourth lasts forever. It's complicated. Yes, indeed, we'll hit over 400 pretty easily. The result isn't that bad. In the sense that hitting 430 with a GTR isn't bad. But even with the nitro, I think going downhill it won't be amazing. Maybe she's right. Maybe that's why I crash. Maybe that's the result. The setting, optimized for maximum velocity for Grand Touring. 7. That still seems particularly weird to me, but, well, what is it? We'll still push it and blow up the nitro to see if something really happens. And here, you see the fifth gear. It's so long, so long. On the other hand, it's true that the top speed is still impressive. I'm testing this car in the game for the first time and hitting over 460. Wait, I'm telling you something wrong because actually, it tells me itself. Estimated max speed, 455 to 470. And potential nitroactive speed of 480 kilometers per hour. So actually, she might be totally right. And maybe these super long gearbox settings are still the optimized settings for maximum velocity. So in conclusion, indeed, a conclusion that doesn't take into account the fact that we only use these settings on a single car. Maybe there are others where we would have had totally messed up results from the start and where it wouldn't have worked at all. But honestly, it doesn't work that badly at first glance. So, of course, I think it's not ready to replace expert knowledge from someone experienced and well-versed in the game, and who will really be able to make ultra-precise zins and adjustments and everything we want. Still, for a player like me who doesn't want too much hassle, to understand how the menus work and who doesn't always understand what the game wants me to do, changing each setting one by one, let's say, for someone who's a bit of a beginner with the game's adjustment system, it works really well. You can optimize by track, you can optimize by driving style. And I have to admit that I would never have gotten these results by using my knowledge to adjust in the game. So it works. Can we do better? Very likely. Would it have been different with another car? Very likely as well. But the fact is that, in this case, it worked very, very well. And we're still going to catch them. 500 kilometers per hour, and that's where we're going to stop. For this little video experience at Gran Turismo 07, I hope you enjoyed this video. Of course, if you try out this little experiment, don't hesitate to let us know in the comments what your results were. If you try other cars or tracks, go ahead. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, don't hesitate to show it by leaving a like, subscribing, and of course, leaving a comment. By following me on Twitch for the next live streams, I do them quite regularly. Stop by anytime. And if you'd like, use your Twitch Prime on my channel. It always makes me happy. And you'll put me by the Twitch channel link too. The link is for gaming, if you want to buy your games cheaper while giving a little support to the channel. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Ciao.